They say this one's special. I say let's put that claim to the test. Time to see if this new indie game actually delivers. Dragonkin. The Banished is an action RPG that has already made a strong impression in its early access state. Priced affordably, it offers a surprisingly polished experience for fans of the genre, with a solid foundation that hints at even greater potential as development progresses. While it's not without its flaws, expected for an EA title, the game delivers a compelling mix of engaging combat, deep customization, and a unique world that sets it apart from other ARPGs. What makes Dragonkin stand out? 1. A fair price for a promising experience. At its current price point, Dragonkin, The Banished offers excellent value. The game avoids the pitfalls of modern live service models, with no microtransactions, MTX, or fear of missing out mechanics. Instead, it focuses on delivering a traditional ARPG experience, which is a breath of fresh air for fans tired of monetization-heavy games. 2. Strong presentation and performance. Visually, the game is a treat. The art style, UI design, and music come together to create an immersive atmosphere. Performance is also commendable, with the game running smoothly on mid to high-end systems. While there are occasional frame drops in specific areas, the overall performance is impressive for an EA title. 3. Engaging combat and skill system. Combat starts off simple, but quickly becomes more dynamic as you unlock skills and slot them into the game's unique ancestral grid. This system allows for deep customization, with skills like Ice Breath, Ice Throw, and Ice Leap feeling impactful and satisfying to use. The potential for diverse builds is immense, thanks to the layered mechanics that let players tailor their playstyle. 4. Endgame content and replayability. Even in its EA state, Dragonkin offers a decent amount of content. The first act of the campaign takes around 6 to 8 hours to complete, with additional endgame hunts providing another 15 to 20 hours of gameplay. These hunts are mid-sized quest chains that reward players with loot and permanent buffs. With a max character level of 50, there's plenty of grinding for those who enjoy optimizing their builds. 5. Handcrafted maps and enemy variety. The game's maps are expansive and handcrafted, offering a sense of exploration without being open world. Enemy variety is another highlight, with visually distinct foes featuring unique attack patterns, from AoE spells to summoning abilities. Elite enemies with special modifiers keep encounters fresh, and mini-bosses add an extra layer of challenge. While Dragonkin, The Banished has many strengths, there are areas where it falls short. Lack of sound effects. One of the most noticeable omissions is the absence of sound effects for key actions, such as picking up gold, collecting crafting materials, or interacting with objects. These missing audio cues detract from the immersion and are a common complaint among players. 2. Enemy hit feedback and clarity. Combat, while generally satisfying, suffers from unclear enemy attack telegraphs and hit feedback. Some AoE attacks are nearly impossible to dodge, leading to frustrating one-shot deaths. Improved visual and audio cues would go a long way in making encounters feel fairer and more engaging. 3. Town progression system. The town building mechanic is a unique addition, but it lacks clear explanations. Players are left guessing how to upgrade the town or what resources are needed, which can be confusing. Better tutorials or tooltips would help players understand this important aspect of progression. 4. Weapon and class restrictions. Currently, weapon types are tied to specific classes, limiting build diversity. Allowing classes to use multiple weapon types, or even share weapons between classes, would add more flexibility and replayability. 5. Early access rough edges. As an EA title, Dragonkin has its share of unfinished elements. Some NPCs feel lifeless, with no lore or flavor dialogue, and certain crafting systems are marked as coming soon. While these issues are expected in EA, they highlight the need for further development to fully realize the game's potential. Verdict: Dragonkin. The Banished is a promising ARPG that stands out for its fair pricing, engaging combat, and deep customization options. While it's still rough around the edges, the core experience is solid, and the developer's commitment to avoiding MTX and live service elements is commendable. For ARPG fans, Dragonkin is worth checking out. It's not without its flaws, but the foundation is strong, and the potential for growth is evident. If the developers continue to refine and expand the game, Dragonkin, The Banished could become a standout title in the genre.
Men, women, children, animals. For as many slaves as there were devoted to their cruel masters, just as many grotesque monsters blindly obeyed any order given to them by their dragon lord. Only the most righteous of souls, guided and supported by the Eternal, were able to resist the corrupting call that led the living to damnation. These righteous few bore the feeble flame of man through the darkest shadow, and though it flickered, it would not be extinguished. Filled with these fleeting embers of hope, a few brave souls founded an alliance to carve the first breach into draconic defenses. Here, the Dragonkin's power was strong. It fused our world with that of the Banished. Godefroy of Clairval heroically broke through and shattered their defense barriers. This act of bravery, a feat of the righteous alliance of men, allowed me to lend aid to the Knights of the Order of the Eternal. Me, Almantir, Grand Oracle of Pythodurcan, Dragon blood, a human altered but not consumed by the draconic blood that flows through my veins. My sisters and I have powers given to us by the dragon, but our souls remain our own. Neither Dragonkin nor entirely human, and afforded extraordinary abilities by our forebearers. By those who drank the blood of the only banished dragon to have ever repented before the Eternal. These few drops of draconic blood connected our thoughts to those of the dragons. Struck by fleeting visions, we saw glimpses into their deeds and understanding of the feelings that drove them. With that understanding came a vulnerability. We soon learned that we were at the mercy of their whispers. The voices threatened to consume us, with no hope of salvation. But the formidable link that connected us to the dragons had also awakened something within us. We lived strong in the certainty that the Eternal had pardoned us for the draconic corruption in our veins. Our civilization fell alongside the blue dragon Dragonkin, forcing us to live amongst men in the city of the Order of the Eternal. Closer to the breach made by Sir Ichnog, Godefroy, fighting fire with fire, confronted the draconic hordes. I battled by his side, but my strategy was less direct. My draconic power allowed me to open up a passageway for the men of Nurogard, all of them prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice to save what remained of humanity. Once this invisible barrier had been breached, they knew that their lives would hang by mere threads. But these warriors from the north cared little for the uncertainties of our plan. A hero's death in the heat of battle with their enemy was the greatest honor that could befall them. Led by the pale dragon blood Harold Truelson, the barbarian fleet had but one objective: to lure the enemy into the open sea and leave the path to the breach vulnerable. If a single vessel reached the coast, then this sacrifice would not have been for naught. Harold Truelson reached the hostile shore and avenged those fallen from the Toriel clan. The barbarians of Nuragard feared neither pain nor death, and they welcomed violence as they might an old and familiar friend. Truelson knew this friend better than most. His existence thus far had been one of suffering, of hardening his resolve, and of preparing to endure the worst of torments, without losing the one thing of value every warrior of his clan held dear: his soul. While the Knights of the Order of the Eternal had always been forbidden from making use of dragon's blood, the warriors from the north, staying true to their values, had taken this risk. A select few, highly trained clansmen, risking their lives in the process, had successfully imbibed the pale dragon's blood without succumbing to the corrupting voices. Among them was Truelson. To become a dragon blood barbarian, he paid the ultimate price and cast away a portion of his humanity. In exchange, he received draconic powers that he put to use for the Toriel clan, the Eternal, and humanity at large. And even if all others, from Montesky to Nuragard, recognized the courage and sacrifice of these brave warriors, there was not one that did not also regard them with sincere disgust. While there could be no doubt of their loyalty to Toriel, defender of the Eternal, their bodies, defiled by the dragon as they were, drove the rest of mankind to reject them. Truelson, for his part, cared little for his appearance. What did this matter after all, as long as his soul remained intact? The pale dragon blood had achieved his goal. The Alliance's plan, as unlikely as it was to succeed, could run its course. The barbarian waited for the signal that would tell him where to carve a bloody path through enemy defenses and lure the dragons far away from the breach. The Kongirati nomads, every bit as proud and as fearless as the warriors from the north, joined the alliance of men to help push back Sor Iknog, the Crimson Dragon. Sitting astride their draconic hybrids, these tracker archers faced the dragon steadfastly and seemingly without fear. Not one would allow the enemy to make easy prey of them. Hides, wings, teeth, blood. For the Kongirati, each draconic monstrosity was not only a threat, but also a quarry from which they could gain valuable resources. And where others had begged and prayed for divine salvation, these nomads made full use of anything the earth and providence offered them in order to survive. Their master tracker Eula, however, did not see things in such stark shades of black and white. Of all those who made up their number, she was the first to recognize the value of this eternal light. She rejected neither the ancestral traditions nor the tracking of the Dragonkin, who had made it possible for the Kongirat to excel in the arts of potions, alchemy, poisons, and draconic hybridization. How long would her people be able to continue traveling freely if the corruption were to poison the entire world? It was for this reason that she joined the Alliance of Men. To seal this union, the Order of the Eternal entrusted her with one of their most powerful relics, a single, glimmering scale of light. If the legends are to be believed, this scale had been pried from the hide of one of the Drakeels in the heat of battle, back when these beings of light had pushed back the banished dragon lords that ventured too close to the surface. Each champion had one, and the power of their light would be needed to push Sor Iknog back into the shadows. was up to Eula, armed with her Scale of Light, to cast the invocation. She would then know whether she had been right to put her trust in the Order and in joining the Alliance. The power of the light was like nothing ever seen before. We heard the Dragon Lord howl into our minds, racked with pain and rage. So close to the Dracomundus, our souls suffered as from 1,000 deaths, but we held fast to our positions. Inch by inch, the divine light pushed the corruption back into the breach, and it was thus that the Banished Lord saw Ichnog disappeared once more into the shadows, where he would suffer eternal retribution. Once calm fell, we were all that was left, the sole witnesses to the feat accomplished by the Alliance of Men. But more than ever, we knew that the taint of draconic depravity still festered in the depths of the abyss, impatient to break free once more. Thus, from the union of men and their allies that stood together in the face of the draconic threat, an elite corps was established within the Order of the Eternal, the Dragon Hunters.